ancient stronghold of Erebor, the Lonely Mountain, the greatest dwarven kingdom left in Middle-earth, home to some dwarves, a dragon, and, a little bit of gold. We of course know the iconic kingdom of Erebor from the Hobbit trilogy, but it actually takes place to a massive siege and a battle during the War of the Ring. Of course, the Battle of Dale. And thanks to GW's latest supplement, The Defense of the North, we can now play out these fantastic battles in tabletop form. Problem is, Games Workshop doesn't make any Erebor scenery, so we're gonna have to make some ourselves. Now, before we go hacking and slashing into our foam, we have to work out a foundation for the board itself. The outside of Erebor, the Erebor Valley Plain, should be fairly simple, with a few rocky outcrops and a bit of land depressions and elevations. So we're going to start with maybe the most iconic piece of Erebor first, the mighty front gate. Now, many of you guys may not know this, but I have done a front gate of Erebor before, and for an army display, for a tournament. But this was a few years ago now, and to be honest, it wasn't too great. But it's what started me on my terrain journey at the moment. And it's, like I said, it's not great, but, where will we get our inspiration from? Well, first we need to see what kind of boards we need for the Defense of the North scenarios, as I'm making custom boards for each of the scenarios. I know I'm very crazy. At the Siege of Erebor scenario, it's a great starting point. For this one, you need a 2x1 foot board, but this is going to be increasing. I'm going to make this into a 2x2 board, and you guys will see in a moment why. There's also some great concept drawings, some great concept art and inspiration for the front gate in the Defense of the North book as well. So next step, I delved over all the pieces and of all the drawings, the concept art, the inspiration, and watched the opening of The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey a few times for educational purpose, obviously. And of course, I started going into a rough sketch of how I wanted the board to look. So I put this rough sketch onto a piece of hard card, and this is so I could use the exact dimensions I was going to need for the board. And after working out the measurements for the wall height, length, and breadth, I started cutting out pieces from green foam structural XPS foam, and this is to make a basic structure. Now, we're building the front gate on a 2x2 board, but this will eventually extend and expand, like I said, into a much bigger super board. And this will make sure you can actually not walk, but move miniatures from inside Erebor and possibly even Thor's throne room right up into the city of Dale. So I'm really excited but that, like I said, that will probably be a few years away. So I kept in mind how that was going to work, and I basically worked around that so I could use this as a 2x2 board, but extend it if I needed it to. I won't say anything more on this. Like I said, it's probably going to be a few years down the line. And at the moment, we just need a 2x2 board for, like I said, for the scenario for the campaign set inside Erebor. A little bit after this, I actually had a free evening one day, and I started working on the statues that line the walls outside Erebor, and I gotta say, I'm really happy with how these turned out. Unfortunately, at the time, I only had structural green XPS foam, and this foam is the bubbles are very big, so it's very hard to actually do any fine detailing. But like I said, I'm very happy with this, and I did the best with I did with what I actually had. If I am to go back, at the time of recording this, I actually do have better fine detailing XPS foam that I actually do some finer details with, so I might go back down the line and redo these, but at the moment they're definitely going to serve their purpose, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. Unfortunately, they did take me quite a while. They took me quite a few hours each to work out how they were going to be used. Now is time to build the height of Erebor. The front gate of Erebor has always been known, like in the movies especially, to have this massive height to it, and we're not going to go the entire way up in this build. When we go back in a couple of years time and do the mega build, we're definitely going to go and do the entire height. At the moment, I don't have a lot of room where I am at, and unfortunately, this is going to save on time and also playability. It's going to save on the playability aspect as well. That being said, in this build, we're going to go about halfway up the height of where it's going to be. Now, like I said, I studied the movies very carefully, especially the scenes where we see shots of the front wall, especially from the opening scenes from The Hobbit, where Thorin and Balin and Thor are all on the walls. I definitely took a lot of inspiration from these scenes. I honestly, these structures along with the statues, I couldn't tell you exactly how I did them. Other than, like I said, they took a lot of time, patience, and a lot of frame-by-frame shots of the film. You know, these are your best friends if you want to try and replicate this. So these bigger structures, I carved these from green structural XPS foam again, which is again all I had at the time. But of course, this was a bit easier than the statues, as it wasn't as much as, you know, as minute details as the statues were. They were a lot bigger. Where actual dwarves would have carved them. So it was, you could work these out, that these were actually carved by dwarves, and there's cracks in the rock itself. Now, the more and more I got into the project, I realized I was going to do more finer details. So I caved and I did order some more sturdy XPS foam, I should say. Great for carving finer details. It's a lot more rigid and withers not as big bubbles, so you can do a lot more finer details. Unfortunately, this is from the other side of the country, so I had to wait a little bit, and this does cost quite a little bit, but that's okay. It's all good. And I used this for the ground floor of the gate section, just in case at some point I wanted to do some finer details on the floors of Erebor, like if there was any like tiles or anything like that I wanted to or patterns on the floor that I wanted to do in the future. I also used this more sturdy XPS, this blue foam, to create a rough design of the walls themselves. And suddenly the build began to come to life before my eyes. It's amazing what a little bit of detail can do to a build. Going back to the structural XPS, I also drew up and carved out more iconic pieces that will give the gate its more impressive height. Like I said, I'm not going to go as high as... it's not going to go as high as you actually see it in the films, but like I said, it will go to about half the height once the board is complete. So it's still going to be quite an impressive height. It's going to be a lot higher than what you actually see in this video, guys, so don't worry about that. And like I said, when we come back to do the super board at some point, I might make the height and complete it. But at this moment, we only need half, as this will save on time and playability. You can also see that I have also kept all the pieces at the moment separate from one another. They haven't actually had any bonds between them. I didn't want to do this until I actually knew exactly how all these were going to tessellate and interact with each other. So in the next video probably is where I will be doing all this together, doing some finer details, and also be doing some gap filling as well. So I hope you guys are excited for that. I definitely am excited to do a lot more on this board as well. And there we go, guys. That is what I've completed for Erebor during this bit, I guess. You can definitely expect some more updates coming in the near future. As I'm writing this out, as I'm recording this, I have already started on the next bit on part 2, and that is going to include a bit more detailing going on the inside of Erebor and also the Erebor Valley. Starting to do those boards as well for our, for some of the scenarios for the Defense of the North campaign. So can't wait to get started on them and show you guys some more progress as well. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. It really does help, and it really motivates me to keep going on these kind of builds. Do let me know what you thought of this in the comment section below. I really like to get your feedback and opinions, what you guys would like to see, maybe in the board as well. But yeah, thank you guys so very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, and as always, happy gaming.